Well, speaking of your role in the upper house, one of the aspects of our democracy at the moment that I find particularly galling is politicians on crossbenchers who horse trade one piece of legislation off against another. Will you be doing that, John?
Okay, well, no, it's not that difficult on how to vote for legislation when you're a Liberal Democrat. We basically just ask ourselves, will this bill increase the size of the government or decrease the size of the government? Okay, that's all it comes down to for us. Now, one thing that I feel very strongly about and that I do want to make a very high priority is COVID justice and vaccine injuries. And I hope that we can set up a parliamentary inquiry into these two issues. Now, what do I mean by COVID justice? Well, some people out there saying we just need to move on from COVID. Okay, we've got to, it's all behind us now. Let's forget about it. I'd say, well, we could do that if our governments didn't double our debt. The debt can't just be swept under the carpet. I'd be happy to move on if we didn't set a dreadful precedent to knowing that the state can now treat the people like farm animals, push them around, and 80% will just say go along with it. Okay, so yeah. No, we're going to have COVID justice. And I want to look into these issues of the vaccine injuries. Okay, now I believe that the powers that be that gave us all the COVID, you remember 2 years ago, Fred, they're shoving it down our throat. They're saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter what the government does. If anything can save one life from COVID, it's all worth it. Who cares about the death and everything else? Okay, so that's what they were all telling us 2 years ago. Well, now we've got a 15 to 20% increase in deaths, overall deaths, in all the countries that took the silly mRNA vaccine. And then what happens? Oh, they don't care about it. We've got a big spike in deaths. Is it related to the vaccine? Good chance. It's the number one culprit. It could also just be the lag from lockdowns. Either way, it's the government stupidity is causing this spike in deaths. So I would want to set up a pretty serious parliamentary inquiry, and we'll try and get to the bottom of a lot of these unanswered COVID questions. Do
you have any? I know it might be a bit premature, but do you have any theories about why and how this went down? How did the government suddenly become a sales outfit for Big Pharma?
Well, that's one thing that we want to look at, absolutely, because if the pandemic was so bad, if COVID was so bad, and if Pfizer and everybody had come up with such a fantastic vaccine, why do we need to get the government involved? Why couldn't the people just buy the product themselves? Okay, but they had to shove it down, lock us down. Oh, you're not getting out of your home till 80% of vax. Oh, now it's 85%. Now it's 90%. Now, no one's getting out till 95% of you are vaxxed. Government's paying for it all. Oh, yeah, thanks, government. Okay, but where did the whole thing come from? Look, you'll remember, Fred, how much they hated President Trump, okay? They just hated his guts. Now, they used to hate George W. Bush, used to hate Richard Nixon, they used to hate John Howard and Tony Abbott, but Trump, the left hated Trump like nothing else, okay? And they hated him because he was so good. He brought world peace, and he was a common sense guy, and he was a funny guy, and he was, wanted to protect America's southern border, all these things. They hated his guts. And so they were absolutely fanatical rabid dogs to destroy Donald Trump in any way. And if you go back to early February 2020, the Democrats are having their primary. And who have they got? They got Bernie, they got Pocahontas, they got silly old senile Joe, they got little Mayor Pete, okay, all useless people. And the Democrats are thinking, and they just tried to impeach Trump for the second time, lost badly. Okay, so in early 2020, the betting markets are, February 2020, the betting markets are saying, Donald Trump is clearly the odds-on favourite to get re-elected. But no. The psychopaths out there that had to bring him down through whatever reason, then I think just by chance, a bad flu comes along. No one's denying COVID was a bad flu. But that's all it was. It wasn't the Spanish flu. It wasn't a pandemic. It was just something that sort of happens roughly every 2 decades or something, a particularly bad winter's flu. And so then what did they do? I don't think it was even that organised. It just spontaneously happened amongst all these really worked up Trump haters. They just thought, look, let's make this flu 20 times worse than it is, and let's blame it on Trump. And then the rest of the world's media just follows along with whatever the American media says. They all hated Trump as well. They all got whipped up into this hysteria. And so then COVID mania swept the world. And basically everybody fell for it, Fred, except for a few little smart